Today, we spend about 80% of our working time cooperating with others. And that's a number that has doubled over the last 20 years. At the same time, we know that there are costs connected to teamwork, basically just because we're humans, but we lose out in efficiency and performance. For this reason, it becomes interesting for companies to look at the quality of how well their teams cooperate. Now, from research, we know that team debriefs will help teams increase their performance by 20 to 25%. As the world becomes more digitized, we thought it would be interesting to look at how a digital tool can help the teams cooperate even better, help them perform these debriefs in a qualitative way. And in this episode, we will argue that a digital tool actually can help teams increase their performance, basically just because of two simple functions, something called anonymous mode and the possibility to enter things in parallel. So what's even more important, though, for teams is the possibility to use anonymous mode.
Yeah, that is really interesting. From a knowledge integration perspective, that's really interesting.
And that's because of something that we call social processes, which it's basically about how we interact as humans. And the reason, or one reason why this is so interesting is because of communication. Because when I, as a human person, communicate with someone else, with you, for example, I will connect what I say to my identity. And then when you react to what I say, I will connect your reaction to my identity as well.
And from a knowledge integration perspective, this isn't really good, because this will, for example, mean that we will tend to agree a bit too much with people we like, and we will tend to, disagree a bit too much with the ones we don't like.
Yeah. And this sucks, basically. But it's impossible to stop, because it's, we are humans. We cannot not react emotionally to other humans. But the effect of these social processes is that sometimes ideas or thoughts or perspectives are at risk of not being brought up, basically because people are afraid of how others will react to them. And another risk is that ideas will be rejected, not because of the content of the idea, because it's a bad idea, but only because of who said it.
So this is where the team can use this digital tool, because at some points they will be sort of discussing or entering input anonymous. And that, of course, will help to focus on the content rather than who said it. It may, for example, mean that things will be said that wouldn't have been said otherwise, or they will be said and listened to with another level of quality. So that's the whole purpose of anonymous mode. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, parallelism or parallelity, and with that we mean, of course, an obvious advantage of that is that people can enter information at the same time. That's what we mean, in parallel.
Yeah, so it speeds up the process.
Yes.
But I guess the real value is that people can enter things into the tool without being influenced by the others. And there's this really good example that you usually use to explain this. Would you mind sharing it?
Yeah, let's take an example. Okay, so we have this family that are thinking about buying a dog, and this is Sigge, by the way. Now, if you're going to buy a dog, there are actually a number of different things you could be talking about. Now, think of that as a square, and think that every family member, maybe they are thinking of different things. One may be, what kind of dog to buy, where to buy it, and how to raise it, and who's going to be responsible for what, etc. If someone now just starts talking, it means that the other ones have a problem. They need to decide whether they're going to start listening to this other person's thoughts, or if they're going to stay in their own. And as you can see, this is a problem you will have everywhere in teams. Doesn't matter really what they discuss, if it's a budget or the next project or so. This is how it works. And here the advantage of the tool is that people can actually enter their own thinking undisturbed by others. And then they can sort of see all these different thoughts, and they can sort it, and they can prioritize it, and they can make sure that sort of everything is discussed. Right. So that's the idea of parallelity in this tool.
So, to summarize, how successful organizations are largely dependent on how well their teams cooperate. One factor that we know affects teams' performance is debriefs. Now, if you perform these debriefs in a digital tool, you will get help from basically two things. Anonymous mode, which helps us avoid social processes, and parallelism, where you make sure that all input is gathered into the tool.
Good, thanks. Good summary. Maybe we should say you don't avoid social processes with the tool, but you will reduce some of the negative effects, or you will have a chance to do that, because that's also a point here. This is a tool, and you should remember that it's just a tool, right? So the quality with which you use this tool and the quality in which team members actually talk to and listen to each other, that's what really decides the level of team performance.
Yeah, the tool can just help you do that in a more simple way.
It's just a tool.
Yeah, it's just a tool.
But anyway, that's the topic for today, and thank you very much, Lotta.
Thanks, guys.